GoFundMe tried to pull a fast one. They would have gotten away with it too if it weren't for those meddling truckers. They were holding $9 million in escrow that was supposed to go to the Freedom Convoy, and we learned that their original plan for those funds, since they weren't going to be giving it to the truckers, was to reallocate it to charities of their choosing, and that caused a lot of people to raise their eyebrows, wondering why that was legal, how they were able to do that. Attorney General from West Virginia spoke out about it, and we're going to check in with him, as well as poke around reaction from elsewhere. But the good news is that GoFundMe is going to be returning those funds directly to donors. They posted this on Twitter. They said, we woke up and we realized we kind of screwed up. They say, to simplify the process for our users, we will be refunding all donations to the Freedom Convoy 2022 fundraiser. This refund will happen automatically. You do not need to submit a request like you did just a short 24 hours ago. Donors can expect to see refunds within 7 to 10 business days. They followed up with this update. The update we issued earlier enabled all donors to get a refund and outlined a plan to distribute remaining funds to verified charities selected by the Freedom Convoy organizers. They're leaving out a part here. They actually said by us both. They have a role in that. And they say, however, due to donor feedback, we are simplifying the process and automatically refunding donations. And so we'll break that down a little bit further in greater detail, but it's obviously what they should have done from the very beginning. Actually, what they should have done is just delivered it to the truckers. People were making a donation to a cause that they supported. GoFundMe, as we talked about yesterday, came up with this concoction based on their sole discretion as to why this wasn't a reputable charity or cause, and decided that they didn't deserve the funds. So they decided back then that they were just going to give it to charities that they thought were suitable in conjunction with the organizers of the Freedom Convoy. But that is not what the donors intended. They didn't say give it to the Freedom Convoy or any other charity. They said give it to the Freedom Convoy. And even though GoFundMe was going to give people the opportunity to obtain a refund, it still required extra steps, and it wasn't automatic. So that means that people maybe didn't know that this was a policy change or that this money was not going to go to the truckers. And so their money sort of would have been converted into another charity without their knowledge. When this happened, when GoFundMe actually decided we're not giving the funds to the truckers in the first place, the Ottawa Police shamelessly were slam dunking. They were spiking the football. They said, we want to thank GoFundMe for listening to our concerns as a city and a police service. The decision to withhold the funding for these unlawful demonstrations, they say, is an important step, and we can call on all crowdfunding sites to follow. We want others to stop. We want Give, Send, Go, and some of the others to stop. And of course, the Freedom Truckers have found new funding. I believe the current source of funding is Give, Send, Go, which is a Christian charitable fundraising site. And so please look them up there. Wherever you want to support them, be sure to do that. But of course, use your best judgment there. Now, in a prior video on this channel, we had talked about this. And when the GoFundMe company came out and they were going to reallocate or convert these funds into their own charities, essentially, I said, that's not an ethical thing to do. This is a problem. And we have a mechanism in our government to deal with these things. When your gym doesn't let you cancel your membership, right? When they're sort of doing things that are unethical, there's a state entity, there's a position called the Attorney General that handles those types of complaints. And so in this video that we talked about previously, we talked about how to file a complaint against GoFundMe, and it's a very simple 3-page form, and you can see very simple to just print it out, fill it out. There are links down in the description below if you believe that a complaint about this is warranted. Now, even though GoFundMe is going to be, refunding the money, right? This is still a problem, because my question, of course, is what other charitable causes have they done this to? What other smaller operations or different campaigns put on by whomever, truckers or whomever, are being canceled and having their funds converted, essentially stolen by GoFundMe, and then repurposed to a charity of GoFundMe's choosing? Why would they be doing that? Now, in this case, we have a situation where there is a ton of attention, and so we're able to keep tabs on this and monitor it. But what about these other charitable causes and campaigns that just got gobbled up by GoFundMe? Isn't it worth investigating that? And hopefully the attorneys general will. We see here, one of them did. Patrick Morissey is from West Virginia. He's a conservative fighter, This is not his official account, but he did post this. He's a blue check mark over there. It says, GoFundMe now won't honor the Freedom Convoy. Donations will instead redirect to other charities? Question mark. In West Virginia, organizations must not deceive donors and engage in deceptive advertising practices. If you've been victimized by a deceptive act, let us know. And that's from the Attorney General out of West Virginia, which is exactly that same entity that we talked about in the prior video, where you would file a complaint. Now, in California, that's where GoFundMe is based. But if you're in West Virginia or in any state, and you are residing in that state and you had an issue, you feel you were deceived, well, that might be something to raise with your Attorney General in your state. Many different mechanisms for filing a complaint. But also, if you don't live in California, right, and you think that you were victimized or deceived by a company operating in California, might be another basis for a complaint. But we can go back to GoFundMe's statement from yesterday, because there's two things that I want to point out here, two big problems. One was, of course, the misappropriation of funds. We're going to dive into that a little bit further. But number two, which we can sort of start and go back in reverse, is here, talking about the terms of service. Remember term 8? I guess, why was this removed in the first place? They were saying this was removed because it was a promotion of violence and harassment under term 8 and has been removed because of new updates from local law enforcement. And, this caused a lot of other people to sort of scratch their heads and say, we've been monitoring GoFundMe and watching the different types of campaigns that they've allowed on their platform. And there's a long history of this. Andy No on Twitter, I call him Andy NGO, he writes this on November 19, 2021. He says, if this is true, why did you donate $500 to Riot Kitchen? Who's he responding to? GoFundMe. And GoFundMe said back in November of 2021, we prohibit the raising of money in the Kyle Rittenhouse case. We've removed certain fundraisers because he's been charged with the crime. Right? They say we don't support people who've been charged with crimes. You can't fundraise on our campaign. And here, Andy No says, well, that's not true. Why did you donate to Riot Kitchen? And he actually screenshotted that donation. Riot Kitchen were the federal agents, or a Seattle group arrested by federal agents for lobbing gasoline and fuel cans during the Kenosha protests. So why did they get a $500 donation from GoFundMe? Interesting question. Antifa Watch had asked a very similar question, said that GoFundMe employees have previously directly donated to Antifa and BLM rioter arrested with Molotovs. Okay, now I'm not sure if this is the same incident, Riot Kitchen, but this is another person, right? Another example of this. This is somebody named Kara, said he brought Molotov cocktails to the protest, intended to use the cocktails to set fires, and GoFundMe supported him. The GoFundMe team donated $150. And they said, as part of our Give Back program, we're grateful for the chance to donate to campaigns that touched us. Best wishes, the GoFundMe team. Even Elon Musk is recognizing this. He posted this. He said, at GoFundMe, in the community with no police, this farmer is feeding people and bringing them closer together. Learn how you can support Marcus's vision within CHOP. Right? This is GoFundMe supporting a fundraiser for somebody in CHOP, which is the Capitol Hill, autonomous zone, Chaz operation, whatever it is. Right? This is like the little anarchy village that they set up in Seattle. And Elon says, oh, that's interesting. Is this a double standard? Because here you're supporting their setting up of a protest zone, but you're not doing it for the truckers. Why might that be? Elon took it so far as to say, seems like you guys are just professional thieves. On the left, you have amateur thieves. These are people that are just kind of pulling stuff off of trains, right? Little things, $20, $50 here and there. Professional thieves, they just take $9 million and just reallocate it to charities of their choosing. Very powerful thing to do if you can reallocate $9 million, right? That buys you a lot of leverage. Wherever that money goes, you can call in some pretty good favors for that. And so back to GoFundMe and their original statement, the other problem with all of this was that the funds, even though they were going to be able to be retrieved by the donors individually, was that they had to request a full refund on their own, right? Request it. You got to go by February 19th. You got to drop everything, alert everybody in your network. Hey, GoFundMe is going to be taking this money and they're not going to be giving it to the truckers. And so you better go fill this out. Otherwise, they're just going to take it and give it to a charity of their choosing. And it says here that they get involved in it, right? They actually get to decide where it goes. They say, we've decided the funds will be sent to charities determined by the fundraiser's organizer, which is going to be the Freedom Convoy, and GoFundMe. So actually not just the Freedom Convoy, also GoFundMe. So if they don't have full discretion to make a decision on where the money goes, is it really their money or is it GoFundMe's money? And so you fill out that form. Now, you don't have to do that now. They're going to do that for you. But why were they going to do it the way they were going to originally in the first place? Did they not have the money? They already spend it? Are they doing this on a regular occurrence? Are they taking this money and reallocating it to charities for some sort of benefits, and this is part of the assembly line? I don't know. But there is a mechanism to file a complaint. You can take a look at this video up here and check out the forms down in the description below if you are concerned about what is happening with GoFundMe. And attorneys generals are not done either. You can see Patrick Morissey, that same attorney general that we talked about, said as a result of you weighing in, they changed their policies and now they're going to just automatically refund the monies. He says, but we're not done yet. We're not going to tolerate shady business practices. And so GoFundMe did the right thing, obviously. They are going to be automatically refunding the $9 million. The question, of course, why didn't they do that in the first place? Were they trying to manipulate those funds and sort of reallocate them to a charity of their choosing? Is this part of common business practice? Do they get benefits for this? Have they done this to other charities or other campaigns that have had smaller voices where they couldn't stand up and get the attention of various attorney generals throughout the country? I'm not sure, but I think it's worth investigating. And so hopefully these attorneys general throughout the various states continue to look into it, and the people out there continue to put the pressure on these companies who are playing by two sets of rules, operating under two different standards, giving benefits to the people that serve their political interests, and punishing and penalizing and even cooperating with the government in a way to impede and wreck their political opponents. It's very offensive in modern day America, modern day Canada, modern day world. Let me know what you think about it. I look forward to seeing you on the next one.